Yeah, it was a great meeting. The party is unified. The House Republican Conference is excited. Multiple standing ovations. They love this president. The people back home love what he's doing. It's historic, and everybody understands the scope and the meaning of this. If we do not accomplish this mission, every one of you, all the American people, are going to have the highest tax increase that you ever had. And among the debt ceiling cliff that's approaching and all the other problems, this is the bill to do it. I think we're going to get it done, Mr. President.
The Democrats want to raise your taxes. If this doesn't work, if this doesn't get the numbers that the Republicans want, and I think it does. I think it's all Republican vote. The Democrats are going to be raising your taxes by 68%. And they will not do the, we're going to have an 85% cut in drug costs. 85% cut in drug costs. The Democrats, the drug prices are going to go up. I can't imagine a Democrat not voting for this. I think the Democrats, if they don't vote for it, that means they're voting for an increase in drug prices. Think of that, versus an 80 to an 85, maybe 75, but could be an 85% cut in drug costs. Okay.
Mr. President, will you need to reach out to individual members? Will you need to make a pitch to individual members?
I don't think so. No, that's what I did. That's really what we did today. I think it was a really great. That was a meeting of love. Let me tell you, that was love in that room. There was no shouting. I think it was a meeting of love. There were a couple of things that we talked about specifically where some people felt a little bit one way or the other, not a big deal. And I covered them. It wasn't so much a speech. I covered certain points. And I think there was, I'd be very surprised.
You told him you were losing patience. Are you losing patience?
No, I didn't tell him. Who told you I said I'm losing patience?
That's what we heard inside the room. You said
it's a lie. Wait a minute. Wait. Who's told you that?
What we heard from people inside the room.
Oh, really? It's totally true. I never used the term. I didn't say losing. I didn't even talk about it. In fact, it's the opposite. I think we're going to get it done. I'm not losing patience. We're ahead of schedule. Anybody that told you that is a liar. Wait a minute. I never mentioned the word losing patience because I'm not losing patience. We're ahead of schedule.
That's why I asked you. I want to get
but why don't you go back to your source and tell them they're liars if the source even exists?
Passes the House. Yeah. Senators are already talking about making a number of changes over their chamber. Is that okay, or do you want them to swallow this bill?
In some cases, they have things that I like even better. Okay. No, it always happens. There'll be some changes. John Thune and Mike have been very closely aligned with this. They've been moving it up together.
Mr. President, apparently you said don't F with Medicaid. Apparently you did say in the room. There is some concern among some Republicans, including Senator Josh Hawley, that this could impact benefits and there could be amount to a quote hidden tax on the.
Here's what I said.
I'm wondering if you're.
Here's what I said. What are you going to say? I said waste, fraud, and abuse for Medicaid. If you find waste or fraud or abuse, we want to strengthen Medicaid. We want to strengthen Medicare. Waste, fraud, and abuse. The Democrats will let illegals be on. They'll destroy it. It will be destroyed. They want to have illegal immigrants be on. And if you do that, because it wasn't designed for that. Waste, fraud, and abuse.
Can you guarantee that your voters, the supporters of the election, if working class voters will not lose health insurance under this bill?
Oh, they won't lose health insurance. Not only that, remember, I'm cutting drug prices by 85%. And right now, I'm saving it. I'm saving the whole thing because I did something that nobody was willing to do. Other countries pay a tiny fraction what we do. And I instituted favored nations. We're now going to pay the lowest in the world. We're going to be the equivalent of the lowest country in the world.
The Medicaid component of this conversation is critical. And as far as what's on the table right now, the GOP, the current proposal, does tether work requirements. So showing people who are coming from lower income families that are currently Medicaid recipients, proving that they're trying to become a member of the workforce or currently are just to receive the benefits. There's a change in the formula of how state would pay for Medicaid versus some of the federal contributions. There's even an aspect of this that would reduce the reimbursement rate from 90% to 80% for states that are currently using state money to help undocumented recipients or families. These are all parts of the topography that he's not talking about right now in these quick little cameos or gaggles with members of the media. But we do know that President Trump did arrive to have that meeting with GOP leaders at about 9:20, 9:30 this morning. It went on for a while, about 90 minutes before we just heard from him again. And the stakes could not be higher. Again, the portions of this bill have already been passed through the House Budget Committee, but you still have the Rules Committee. They sort of set the ground rules, obviously. That would be scheduled for overnight tonight if he can get enough votes. But this caucus is so fractured along so many different lines that that's not clear, and that would then pave the way ultimately for a full floor vote. Not clear where any of this stands. We're going to be following it for you as the president, Speaker Johnson there, sort of putting the full pressure campaign out there, meeting with lawmakers. They're projecting one particular image of how this caucus meeting went earlier today. We're looking to get more reporting, though, on some of the details and whether there truly is the unity that Speaker Johnson described. He said standing ovations at points, but we know there are all of these fractures within the party about how to handle this massive spending bill that will really set the president's agenda if it's passed. And we know so much of his political equity has already gone into trying to get that done.
Thanks for watching. Stay updated about breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or follow us on social media.